Let's head to Westminster once again this morning, see if we can talk to the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. Can we start off talking VAT? Because the Conservatives say you've got a £38.5 billion black hole and VAT is the only way you're going to fill it.
They're wrong. We don't have unfunded policies. All of our policies are fully funded and fully costed, and we will not be increasing VAT, nor will we be increasing income tax or national insurance in the course of the next Parliament if we win the election on July the 4th.
So, all right, how do you continue to fund all of your pledges if everything is based on these various taxes which people don't have to pay, like non-dom, because they can move out the country, the private education VAT, which people can pull their children out of school. If that's how you're funding all of this, unless you're basing everything else on growth, which isn't guaranteed, how is that really viewed as fully funded, fully costed?
So our first 6 steps, which is on the NHS, on schools, on dealing with small boat crossings, tackling antisocial behaviour, and switching on GB energy, is all fully funded and fully costed, and they're funded in the way that you've just alluded to, which is the tax loophole changes that we've set out. So VAT on private school fees, private equity bonus payments, tackling non-dom loopholes, and investing in tax avoidance as well, so helping people to pay taxes properly, and then the windfall tax on the oil and gas majors as well. And that revenue is all the revenue that we need in order to fund those 6 first steps, which we've set out, as I said, are fully costed and therefore fully funded.
I mean, Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, unfortunately we weren't able to speak to him a little bit earlier on. We had technical issues. But he is on a bit of a victory lap this morning, saying that he is essentially backed the Labour Party into a corner. And you will now not raise VAT, or you say you won't raise VAT, as a result of his pledges that he made in the first place.
I mean, that's just not true. I mean, I kind of understand why Jeremy Hunt is trying to confect a story where, oh, you know, the Tories have scored a point against the Labour Party in the election campaign, but it's just not correct. I mean, Rachel Reeves, our Shadow Chancellor, has been consistently clear, even before the general election was called, that we think the tax burden under the Conservatives has become too high. It's the highest it has been in 70 years on working people, and we want that to come down. Because we want it to come down, we're not going to be increasing taxes on working people. So we've been very clear that those taxes I've mentioned, income tax, national insurance, VAT, will not be going up under a future Labour government, because the Conservatives have taxed people too much as it is, and we want them to come down, not up. We've been saying that for months and months and months, not because Jeremy Hunt issued a press statement yesterday.
Yeah, but that's all aspirational, isn't it? When you say, I mean, it's all well and good to say to people watching and listening right now, well, you know, under a Labour government, we would want your taxes to come down, but there's no guarantee, no promise that they will.
Well, no, I'm giving you that promise today, that we will not be increasing national insurance, income tax or VAT on working people. But the long-term sustainable approach to further tax cuts is to get growth back into the economy, because people also want their public services funded, and we have to fix some of our public services as well. And that will take a bit of time. We've made no secret of the fact that if we win the election on July the 4th, it will be the worst fiscal inheritance that any party's received since the Second World War. Those 6 first steps, fully funded, fully costed in the way I've set out, is where we start. That's our down payment on change. And then we'll have to roll up our sleeves and do the hard yards to turn the country around.
Can I ask you what's going on with Diane Abbott? Will she be a parliamentary candidate for the Labour Party?
So Diane Abbott is a member of the Labour Party again. She's had the whip restored following the conclusion of an independent complaints process, independent of any politicians, Keir Starmer, me or otherwise. And now that the general election has been called, Diane and other candidates that have not been endorsed yet in their constituencies will need to talk to the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party, who make the decision on behalf of us, because we haven't got time now to do the local processes that might normally happen in the way that I had to a few months ago, for example. So by the end of this week, I think, there will be a communication from the National Executive Committee with all of our candidates in every seat across the country, then fully endorsed, working really hard to campaign for people to persuade them to vote Labour and to vote for change on July the 4th.
Yeah, but what appears to be clear, and what you're being accused of by left-wing members of your own party, is a purge of the left. Because of all the people who, for whatever various reasons, currently don't have endorsements, they're people who are to the left of the party, people who formerly were very supportive of Jeremy Corbyn.
It's just not true to say that there's a purge of the left. There are existing Labour MPs who would define themselves as being on the left of the Labour Party. A number of them I've worked with over many years who have been endorsed as candidates and are standing for re-election as the Labour candidate in their constituency at this election. If there was a purge of the left, they would be purged, and they haven't been, and that's why there isn't one.
But they're in limbo, aren't they? They haven't been endorsed by the Labour Party. We've got Lloyd Russell-Moore, who's saying he's been suspended from the party over claims about his conduct. He's not able to clear his name now as Parliament has been dissolved. Faiza Shaheen, she has also been poised to be suspended. She's known as the Chingford Corbynite. This is over tweets that she had liked on the platform X. Then, of course, we have Diane Abbott, which is all about this letter that was in the Observer over a year ago. All three of these people are Corbynites. You can see why you are being accused of this left-wing purge of your party.
Well, look, all three of those examples are examples of colleagues who, unfortunately, are in an independent complaints process at this stage in the election, which, you know, is a difficult place to be because you can't be endorsed as a candidate unless, if that's the case. And look, it's not for me to define some of my colleagues, but if I point to, Andy MacDonald or Ian Lavery or other people who are, Zara Sultana, who I've worked with in this parliament, who are on the left of the party, they are endorsed to run as Labour MPs in their respective constituencies. But the key point here is that this factionalism, the story of factionalism, is not really relevant. It's fictitious and created to try to create a narrative. The Labour Party is back in the service of the country. We put the country first, the party second. We're all working really hard to set out the change we think this country needs and hoping to persuade people to vote for that change on July the 4th, with brilliant candidates in every constituency across the country who have all been working enormously hard to try to secure the trust and support of voters in their respective constituencies. That's the offer that we're putting forward at this election. Change, if people vote for it on July the 4th.
We're just about out of time. In 20 seconds, is it sensible for Keir Starmer to be out campaigning with Vaughan Gething today, who is certainly a bit of a tainted character at the moment?
I don't think it's fair to say Vaughan Gething is a tainted character. I mean, there's been a political attempt in Cardiff to have a pop at him, but I'm sure he'll be fine in dealing with that. And we've got a very proud record to stand on with our colleagues in Welsh Labour, and Keir is there today campaigning with Vaughan and Welsh Labour to set out how a change in Westminster can deliver a change in Wales as well.
OK, Darren Jones, we're out of time. Good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for your time.